Hello, my name is Mitchell T. Palmer, your personal grooming expert. You know my name, damn it. Listen, what I want to talk to you about today is a concept that was shared with me and we discussed this morning at the Gentleman Barber Breakfast and Bullshit. Now, we hold that every Monday at 7:30 a.m. at the Black Bear Diner, 1966 East and 9400 South. I'd love to have you come out and join us. Show up anytime you want, any week, and we will be there to share in edifying one another outside our barbering experience. I call that beyond barbering because there is so much more in life than just barbering, just your daily grind. Anyway, this morning, as I spoke to my friends Peter and Lynn, by the way, Lynn, one more time, if you're watching this, happy birthday, 81st birthday for my good friend and longtime client, Lynn. This morning, as we talked, I couldn't help but think back to a former friend, mentor, and big influence in my life. His name was Delbert Penman. Uh, Delbert has since passed on, but at one time in the recent decade, Delbert shared with me this. He said, Mitch, I went to the University of Utah. I studied business. I received a degree in business at the University of Utah. And my experience there was that the faculty, the staff were there to teach me how to think for myself. Wherein nowadays, it seems the public school system and colleges and universities around the country seem to be more interested in teaching us what to think. Now, I've extrapolated that further and thought to myself, there is a point where I think this is even transcended into private schools. A couple of young men who are longtime clients of this barbershop here at the executive room who have attended one of the more elite private schools in Utah. And they have both had the same type of experience. We've had countless number of conversations about it. These private schools, public schools even, and certainly colleges and universities still seem to be embroiled in the concept of teaching people what they should think. This made me think of two different quotes, and these are quite contradictory. I'm going to share the first one with you right now. This is from one of my heroes of American history, our founding father, Thomas Jefferson, who we all know was an author of many of the documents of the founding of this great nation. And Thomas Jefferson was known for this quote: "Question with boldness even the existence of a God, because if there be one, he must more approve of the homage of reason than that of blindfolded fear." I can't tell you how much that speaks directly to my heart. Question with boldness the existence of a God. Well, now, if we fast forward to the 1960s, and it was a pretty rough time for the United States of America, there was the Vietnam War, there were protests, there were sit-ins, and there were people like a man named Timothy Leary. Now, Timothy Leary, as I researched him very briefly online this morning before coming to you live, was known as, let me make sure this is right, as a pioneer in counterculture in the 1960s. A pioneer. He also experimented with psychedelic drugs, also recommended that people do that people switch off, and that people do the same thing that Thomas Jefferson and my friend Delbert Penman recommended, which is to think for yourself and question authority. Now, as I move forward into the more recent decades, the last 20 years, I was pondering this morning how odd it is to me that this 1960s counterculture, the peace, love, dope hippies, make love, not war, the think for yourself, question authority mindset back then. Stick it to the man. Don't let the man keep you down. And yet, here in the last 15 to 20 years, what we have done is we have told the American people, don't think for yourself. In fact, get an education is tantamount to being a good human being. Is this because when we go to their educational institutions, they tell us what to think instead of any longer teaching us how to think for ourselves? I don't know. That's a good argument for us to debate on another day. But what I find interesting is in the argument regarding what was called global warming, now called climate change. The science is in. It's not a question anymore. And stop questioning the science. So, again, think for yourself, question authority. But people from this same ilk and these same generations are telling us the science is in. Stop questioning the science. So, we fast forward to the more pressing moment of COVID-19, which has plagued this country and this barbershop for, I'd say, the better part of 3 years, although I guess technically it's about 2.5. But economically speaking, it has affected Americans for more time than that. This started with, we didn't know very much about this virus, but it was pretty lethal, it seemed. It led to, stay home for a little while, give us 14 days to see if we can't flatten the steep increase in infected people. Then it led to don't wear a mask if you're not sick. Then the command to wear a mask no matter where you go. The attitude toward not having any gatherings at your home with people who don't live in your immediate household. Stories that I definitely learned and read about that people were being actually punished for having guests over to their house. And I bring you back to this. Think for yourself. Question authority. Now, a man who they praise, like Timothy Leary, is contradicted, actually not at all, by a man who they now currently deride and put down, and others of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. And it seems to me that this question with boldness, even the existence of a God, and this think for yourself, question authority, isn't that the same argument? Okay, now I'm going to wrap this up because I've taken your time long enough, and I appreciate you joining me here today. What the hell does this have to do with barbering? Well, I'll tell you what it might have to do with barbering. If you're still getting just a haircut because it's just the way it's always been done, is that thinking for yourself? Is it your personal grooming experience? Is it your personal grooming brand? Should you be addressing your personal brand in a more responsible way? In a more, my friend Peter at the Breakfast and Bullshit this morning was born in Germany. He is proud to be an American, but he also says Americans have this young, sassy, almost teenage type attitude where they question everything. Well, my argument with Peter was we don't really do that anymore. So if you're getting just a haircut instead of having your private, personal grooming experience, I can help you with that. The executive room at Gentleman Barber was designed for just that. VIP experience, personal one-on-one, and none of these crowds shouting, bantering back and forth about what we should think. But you, your personal grooming expert, and your grooming, and whatever topic you want to talk about. Now, I've talked to a number of men around the state of Utah, around this valley, that tell me that by itself, coupled with a good haircut or good grooming techniques, is worth the price of admission. I think they're right. So, if you were considering, during any of the course of this, or before, or in the future, if you consider, seeing what a personal grooming brand might be for you, taking back your grooming experience instead of making it just another haircut, I can help. I'd like to give it a shot, and I'd like to extend the opportunity for you to come see me here inside the executive room at Gentleman Barber. And you can do that by simply considering clicking on the link to my personal schedule, or you can go to gentlemanbarber.com and schedule yourself up a personal grooming experience. Existing haircut, a face shave, a head shave if you're a guy who likes your head shaved. But otherwise, if you want more information, I ask that you call me, text me, or email me at mitchell@gentlemanbarber.com. In the meantime, folks, I have to say again, my name is Mitchell T. Palmer, and you do know my name, damn it. I would ask you to consider this. Question with boldness even the very existence of a God. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, the greatest nation that ever existed on God's green earth, because it was founded by men who inspired each other and were inspired by the concept of thinking for themselves. Now, last bit, you know what it is. Have a nice day. Be good, or don't get caught.